My parents demand funds for my brother's wedding that I didn't even know existed.
Show me the money!
I, 30 female, have been financially independent since graduating college. I worked practically full-time while studying, recently paid off my student loans on my own, and just started saving to buy a home. I didn't apply to grad school because I couldn't afford it, and my parents made it pretty clear growing up that we needed to stand on our own after high school. By the way, this comes from user throwaway36584769885. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my brother, 22 male, is honestly a genius. He worked really hard in school, got a full academic ride to a great state school, and graduated with honors. I am so proud of him. The problem now is he recently got into an extremely prestigious grad program that would open a lot of doors for him. He was hoping for scholarships or a paid internship to cover most of it, but it's not enough. Now he's facing tuition and housing costs in one of the most expensive cities in the country. My parents asked if I could help out and suggested I contribute around $15,000 to get him through the first year. They'd match it and he'd take loans out for the rest. I said no. I've been working for over a decade on my own goals and I'm just now starting to save for a house. I don't feel comfortable putting that on hold, especially when I had to turn down opportunities because there was no help available to me. During the conversation, my mom got frustrated and said they'd be using my other fund to help him instead. I asked what she meant. She said they had set aside about $25,000 for me back when I was in college, meant to be used for a future wedding. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea this fund existed. I asked why I wasn't told about it when I was considering grad school or now while I'm saving up for a house. She said it was always intended for a wedding, not school or property, since I haven't needed it. I'm not engaged or in a relationship. They decided to give it to my brother because he has a more immediate need. I'm not going to lie, I was pissed. I never got a chance to make a case for how I could have used that money, and now it's just being handed over to someone else. I told them I felt hurt and left out. My mom said I was being unfair and that the money was never promised, and if I didn't want it for a wedding, then it made sense to use it for something meaningful. How is someone's first house not meaningful? How is someone's grad program not meaningful? At this point, I'd be like, all right, never give me anything ever again, and that's cool.
Yeah.
My brother told me he didn't know about the wedding fund either, and he understands why I'd be upset, but said he didn't ask for it. He just wants to go to school and thought we were all trying to support each other. I know my brother worked hard and isn't trying to take anything from me, but I can't help feeling like my parents are punishing me for being practical. We have some comments from OP. Top commenter says, not the a-hole. Those are really expectations. If they wanted to financially support you, they could give you the choice of using the funds for education or travel, a home, or a wedding. That's what I've done with my daughters, who I've been saving for since they were born. But despite it being an a-hole move, it is their choice how they spend their money. And it is presumably still their money, rather than in an account in your name. So in practice, the a-hole element was telling you that it was your money in the same move that they snatched it away from you again. Though it was really the system that underpinned that decision, which has clearly been there all along. OP says, that's the part that really upsets me. Assuming they set aside money for both of us, why is he worth paying for grad school, but I'm only worth paying for a wedding? Exactly. That's the thing is, it's like their own answers are full of, like, we were just wanting to save for something meaningful. But to us, you being well-educated and a homeowner is meaningless. The only meaning you can provide for us is by being someone else's wife.
Someone else that's rich, perhaps.
Secret wedding, folks. OP replies to a now deleted comment. My mom didn't say anything about replenishing the funds, but I'm not sure if she thinks I'd never need it, since I'm not in a relationship or engaged by now. I guess technically my parents helped with undergrad because I lived at home and saved on housing. We live driving distance from my university. My brother's school was a few hours away, so he had to live there, but his scholarship covered it all. In terms of favoritism, they've never favored him like this before. I tried to point out that I paid off my student loans just fine, and it wouldn't kill him to have to do the same. To another commenter, OP replies, no, I was upset because of that. They paid for me to get tutored in middle and high school when I had trouble and let me live at home rent-free during college to save on costs. Growing up, they paid for both of our extracurriculars and only asked me to babysit him on occasion, which I didn't even mind. We were always really close despite him being much younger. A commenter says, never favored him like this before that you know of. My mom liked to sneak covering expenses for my siblings and not me, the oldest, to avoid a conversation about why. Who knows? Maybe they've covered other things for him and you weren't aware. OP says they helped me save a ton of money when I was in college by living at home instead of in the dorms. I had basically no expenses besides my car and tuition. Never asked for rent or chipping in on food or household stuff. I moved out after college. My brother is currently at home, who graduated in early December, and he's paying rent to my parents. Commenter says, not the a-hole, your parents are completely safe. It was okay to save for your wedding, but not your education. All of those comments were basically just getting into the nitty-gritty of this grad program, and it costs a lot of money. Okay, so I'm saving us all the time. It's expensive, all right? And you can't just cover it by being a TA or an RA or whatever. So, update. Thanks to everyone who commented on my original post. I really appreciate the insight, especially from those who helped me understand why this hit such a nerve for me. Just to clarify, I have no intention of cutting my parents out over this. They let me live at home rent-free during college, gave me a lot of academic support growing up. I wasn't really a naturally strong student, like my brother, and have always been loving in most other ways. This situation hurt, but I don't need to erase everything they've done for me just because of this. Mother's Day was tense. As soon as I arrived, my mom said, I don't want another fight to ruin today. Wow, what a great way to ensure there's going to be a fight by saying that.
That's like saying like, oh, this is awkward in a situation where it's like, it actually wasn't until you said that and made it awkward.
Yeah, it's like instead of just like being like going in for a hug, it's like a stiff arm and being like, we are not fighting today because I don't want another fight with you about that. So don't fight with me today.
This sounds like the beginning of a fight. So
you literally just cocked back and socked me in the nose. And now you're like, don't fight. Fair enough. As soon as I arrived, my mom said, I don't want another fight to ruin today when I tried to bring up the money again.
I guess OP did try to bring up the money. But still, you can go about it without fighting.
That's a great way to continue a fight by responding that way. And I would have the mother remember it was your fault that this is even contentious because you could have just never said anything, but you made sure to say it to bother her. Now that she's bothered, you're being like, ugh, I just don't bother me about that thing that I bothered you about on purpose. You're annoying. I left after brunch. We finally talked this past weekend. My brother said he hadn't known about the wedding fund until I brought it up, and he felt awful that it was causing tension. He's rethinking grad school now, saying it might be smarter to get work experience first. I'm ashamed of that one. Sorry. He applied to MBA programs and jobs while finishing undergrad, graduated early in December, and got into the program he planned to attend. Now he's planning to defer and focus on the job search instead. He also told me our parents had said I might help out with the cost. He'd planned to pay me back, but realized he wouldn't earn anything for a few years and would still set me back, and that's part of why he reconsidered. My mom was not happy. She said she didn't want him giving up an amazing opportunity just because I was being bitter, and that really stung. I told her I wasn't bitter, I was blindsided. Again, none of this would be happening if you, mom of OP, did not tactically play the, oh, I'm going to let you know about this and take it away from you at the exact same time card.
Yeah.
You said, I guess I'll use your other fund. Because what are you talking about? Oh yeah, I had saved $25,000 for you, but now you don't get it.
Because also, wasn't the original question for OP to help out paying for the wedding? Is that right? Because that's a ridiculous question already.
I'm feeling so petty over this. Like next time your mom asks you for anything money-wise, send her a check that will bounce. Like send her a check that does not clear. Please. I found out about the money during a conversation where I was being asked to hand over $15,000 for someone else's future. That was painful, especially since I'd turned down opportunities because no help was available to me. I just wished I'd known. That's when my dad stepped in. Oh boy, usually that's when things go wrong. Not to put my dad on blast. It's like if me and my mom are arguing, my dad would like come in like in the middle of it without full context and immediately just make things worse by not being fully informed. That's when my dad stepped in. After I was born, he started saving for what he imagined as my dream wedding. It was sentimental to him. When my brother was born, they saved a similar amount for his wedding or family expenses. Neither of us knew these funds existed. They only considered using his for school when other aid had fallen short. After I said no, they decided to use both funds to help him and figured they'd replenish mine later. which sounds like a lot of convenient, oh, actually, we were going to replenish it. I know your mom made it sound like we were just going to take it away from you and not ever give it back, but I'm changing history now.
Which is like, how would you replenish it? If you've been saving up this kid's entire life, I think it's going to be a little less time than that before she gets married. So that's a lot of money to just replenish.
Yeah, they're really just saying this because they're doing a little revisionist history to make the mom maybe a little less in the wrong for the way that she revealed it and that the way that they've done this. So now he's trying to say, well, no, we're taking the money, but we were going to give it back. The money that you never knew about, which is so crazy. Rewriting history. And by the way, you can re-listen to the full history of this show by going to Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts and listening to the full episodes with stories just like this. Just search the name of our show, OK Storytime. And there you will have the entire archive at your fingertips. We have a little bit more story left.
I think we feel the same way.
You know, like I said, I'm going, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm like, I'm not taking anything from them again. Like, you know, whatever. You can keep all your money. I don't need it. I've never needed it. And next time you ask me for something, I hope you're ready for the check to bounce. Really. And it's like, wait, the check, it's not working. It's like, can you guess why? How does it make you feel that I'm not supporting you when in all reality, I said that I would, which means I should be?
Yeah, I would just want to tell these people how crazy, how unfair it is to one, expect that from her, and then to also not go about her funds the same way. Like, I know it's not her money. I know it's generous that they're doing that for her, but still, it's like, I just don't believe you that you would have this much money for that. Or, you know, pay me back for when I was paying for my college. That's also an option.
I get why it made sense to them, but it still hurt. Many commenters pointed out the situation was, even if it's unintentional, and it's hard not to feel like I was expected to get married while my brother was expected to succeed. I don't think that's what they meant, but that's certainly how it felt. To their credit, they listened. My dad apologized for not telling me sooner. My mom didn't fully agree, but I think she heard me. I doubt it. My brother asked if I'd help with his resume and interview prep, and I said yes. I told him I know this isn't his fault. He's worked hard and deserves what he's earned. I just needed to feel like my path mattered too. We're not back to 100%, but it feels better, and I'm glad we talked. And we have some comments. Commenter says, so glad to hear that you moved it forward and that your family members each made their own efforts. Sounds like a good family. OP says, my brother's a good kid. Honestly, the silence this past few weeks have been super weird since we usually send each other memes at least a few times a week. And then OP adds, since some people are still getting hung up over the wedding fund money and I couldn't include it due to the character limit, after our talk, my parents agreed to add my name to the savings account so I can access the money directly. Okay. We've resolved. We've reached full resolution. Don't spike your mom's milkshake. Don't take her fries.
Maybe you should have a conversation.
Sounds like they did. And now this is what's come of it, and it's good. They ask that I withdraw it in chunks over time for tax reasons, but it is mine now. My dad still hopes I'll use it for a wedding someday instead of a house, but ultimately he said the decision is up to me. As for my brother, they said he'll get access to his account in the same way when he turns 30, just to keep things fair. Commenter says only your name should be on the savings account. This may be anecdotal, but when I've tried adding another person or I get added to an account, it's always preferred to just create a new one. I would check with the bank on their policy. OP says I gotta look into it because of the tax stuff and the mortgage stuff. But that's the end of the story.
Cool. Sounds like we got a good resolution there.
I think it's also the classic move of like older sibling, younger sibling. Older sibling always has it a little harder than the younger ones. At least that seems to be the story we hear. But I'm glad that, you know, we didn't have to spike any milkshakes and it seems like the parents figured it out.
Exactly. Good.
That's the end of that.
My wife revealed our son's crush after being told not to.
You tattled on your own son?
I, 37 male, have 3 kids, 14 male, 11 female, and 8 female, with my wife, who is 37 female. Our son, who we'll call Sonny, is in grade 9. My wife has been asking him if he has a crush on this grade 10 girl, Tina, 15 female, who he's been hanging out with. Sonny said that it's not her who he likes, it's a different girl. a 9th grader who we'll call Chris, 14, female. By the way, this comes from Best Host 6822, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. My wife asked Sonny if Chris knows. He said no and that it's a secret. My wife asked why. He said that his friends will make fun of him. My wife asked why. He said that it's because Chris is the heaviest girl in their grade, she has terrible skin, and she is a tomboy. One Saturday, Sonny had friends over. It was Sonny plus 5 other boys with Chris, Tina, and another girl. At one point, my wife just walks into the living room and she tells Chris that Sonny has a huge crush on her. What? She just comes out and is like, Chris, I've got big news.
I literally can't imagine my spot being blown up like that at 14 by my mom.
It was so uncomfortable after that. Chris got up and just walked out of the house. The kids barely said anything and they left earlier than expected. Sonny didn't say anything to me nor his mom, but he made sure to slam every door he used. Later that night in bed, I called my wife a knucklehead. She said that she was trying to prevent our son from becoming a bully. I told her that there was a better way, and then she asked what if one of our daughters were in Chris's position. Then she asked if we went to the same high school, would I hide my feelings for her? She ended up sleeping in the guest bedroom. So am I the a-hole? There are some relevant comments. One person says, I don't get how Sonny is potentially being a bully. He likes a girl that is heavy, terrible skin, and a tomboy. He doesn't want his friends to know because he will be bullied and likely Chris too. I think he's protecting her. Did I miss something? OP responds, my wife probably got reminded of how kids treated her back in the day. She was a Chris herself. That commenter responds, was anyone treating Chris unkindly? OP says, to my knowledge, I'm not exactly sure. My son didn't say that anyone was making fun of Chris. Chris was friends with some of the popular kids of grade 9 and 10. This commenter responds again, I think that your wife just put a target on Chris's back and your son's as well. I am so sorry. Wife really needs to apologize and stop creating a problem where none exists. OP says, I don't know what's going on with my son's social circle because he's giving us the silent treatment. I know it's just him and Tina at Tina's house right now. My son didn't even tell us that he was going. He just left and then asked Tina's mom to tell us that he's there. So the friends are not together.
Of course he didn't tell you. You would probably tell all the girls he has a crush on them or something.
Dude, he's literally not going to share any more secrets with you guys.
And it's your wife's fault. And she needs to own it and apologize before it gets better. It'll never get better if she can't do that.
It's just projecting her own high school, middle school experiences.
Which is sad.
Not the way to parent.
You got to eat the crow, dude, and admit that you did it wrong.
Another commenter says there is no innocent or rational explanation. Also, when you asked her why she did it, her response was literally to stop him becoming a bully. It wasn't, oh, I thought if she knew he liked her, it might break the ice and help them get together. There was zero good intentions there. She made that clear with her answer of why she did it. Even if she's been bullied as a kid for weight and skin issues, why would she then bully a kid who was like her? Sadly, sometimes kids who are bullied or mistreated become they try to get their sense of power and control back by hurting those weaker than them. They want the victims to feel what they felt, or they become the opposite and are kind and understanding and wouldn't put anyone through what they went through. I know this seems like a big leap for what may just be one incident, but it's a big incident. Doing that in front of 9 of his friends was like ultimate savage and cruel. She wanted to humiliate your son in a huge way, and that girl. No loving mother would do that in front of 9 of their son's friends, including the girl that he liked. You need to talk to your son about whether she's treated him badly in any other ways, physically or emotionally or mentally, when you're not home. Because that isn't the actions of a loving mother. If she didn't intend to cause upset, she'd gone after the girl when she went to leave and apologized if she upset or embarrassed her and said that it wasn't her intention. She just wanted her to know that he liked her and she thought it might help the conversations get started, etc. She'd have made sure that the girl wasn't upset and apologized. And I bet that she has not apologized to your son either, because she's not sorry. She doesn't see anything wrong in what she did. And that is the serious issue here. There's light teasing with your kid about your crush or girlfriend, but to humiliate them like that and the girl is disgusting. You would need to do some talking with your son about their relationship and be his support and have his back on this one. Your wife is a major a-hole. She should be on the couch for a while at a minimum. That was a very aggressive comment.
Still way too much.
If we want to talk about like not overreacting to things, I feel like this comment was a little bit of an overreaction.
Well, it's not like she should be on the couch for weeks over this. Just own the mistake. Don't make it worse. Don't compound it. She went in, a lot of big energy. She walked in and like dropped what were essentially like the nuclear bomb code, like the top secret information.
OP responds to this comment, I'm starting to get more cynical of my wife's motives. I made her aware of this post an hour ago and crickets from her. I'm trying my best to not think that my wife wanted to just humiliate our son just for the sake of it. That aggressive commenter says, you need to get more used to it though, because that's what it is. Has she even tried to apologize to him? Has she even tried to understand why what she did was wrong? Has she shown an ounce of regret or remorse? I'm guessing all the answers are no. Because she doesn't care that she's upset, hurt, and humiliated her son. She doesn't care that she's hurt and humiliated and bullied a 14-year-old girl. She was not bullying a 14-year-old girl to the point that she walked straight out of the house and likely cried for ages. Okay, I'm going to stop this commenter.
Stop.
This is like the epitome of the negative
confirmation bias, painting the worst possible picture of what her intentions could be. This is not someone who's trying to slam dunk her own child or bully other people. It's probably someone who grew up with bullying and has a very complicated relationship with all of these things. And she probably thought that that was an effective technique.
Yeah. OP responds, the incident happened last Saturday. No apology yet. Today, I showed her this post. There were some specific comments that I let her read. Still no apology.
But apology to who? To you? It needs to be to your son. You don't need an apology. Your son needs an apology. That's it.
If I get really, really, really cynical, maybe my wife wanted to punish our son for being one of the popular kids and for keeping it a secret that he likes the so-called awkward girl. I don't want to think about my wife that way. Ocean Spice says, I don't have much to say other than your wife seems like a truly repulsive person. And it's disappointing that you are unwilling or unable to see how horrible this was. She just hurt a lot of people, notably your son and Chris, but also everyone else who had to be around for that little stunt of hers. OP responds, well, at this point, I'm questioning if I really know who my wife is. This is so dramatic. I guess that's all I need to say about my wife. And that same commenter says it's pretty clear that you don't. OP says it's extra disappointing given that she knows what it's like to be bullied. Some of what I said in my replies to you are some of the things that I wanted to say in the DM because my wife could be reading my comments.
She didn't bully anybody. She was probably trying to be like, if he just says it, then they'll be together. And instead of like, doing the right thing, which would be like coaching him to be able to come forward and say it himself and getting him into a place where he feels safe and comfortable to do that with Chris, she just like did it herself, which is wrong. You don't do that. It doesn't make her an irredeemable monster. What are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just the internet is just so negative and it's just so filling in the gaps. We don't need to be this unforgiving and this aggressive when we haven't really had a conversation about it, or at least we don't know about a conversation, You
don't need to be at the place of like, do I even know who my wife is? It's like, do you think this random commenter on the internet knows your wife better than you? Because if that's the case, we just need to go full like therapy, like learn how to communicate with each other. What are we doing?
Yeah. OP has a bit of a back and forth with this commenter, Ocean Spice. Ocean Spice says, why are you still trying to not offend her? OP says, she's still the mother of my children, and I need her to be a co-parent. I hope that she loves our children, and I hope she wants them to be happy. I hope she realizes that she hurt our son and Chris. I hope she knows that our children love her, and I love her. What happened to her in the past was terrible, but she shouldn't let it ruin the good things that she has now. We got an update posted on the same post, just a few hours update, and this is a sad update. The information is sad, and the fact that I had to hear about this from Tina's mom is sad. Oh no! To nobody's surprise, Chris was indeed humiliated. Chris at first thought that it was a cruel prank. Then, when Sunny confirmed it, she questioned why his mom would announce it like that in front of all their friends. Sunny took the honest route, and he told Chris why he didn't want to tell her. Chris's feelings are hurt, and she said that she can't like someone who was so embarrassed for people to know that he likes her. Our son is even more upset with us. What my wife did showed my son in a bad light to most of his friends. Some of them thought that it was a prank. Some of them think that something is wrong with my wife mentally. The people who my son is talking to the most about the situation are Tina and Tina's mom. We do have another update. Hopefully this one turns out better.
But, that is such a valid point. I didn't even think about that. It's like these parents should have been like, hey, so if you do like this Chris girl, it's like, and nothing else really on the outside of that matters. It may feel like oh, like if all these people like know that I don't know how it'll impact me and like my social standing. And it's like, if you're thinking about that, then you're not. You don't really want to date that person. You're not ready. You don't know.
Or you just have things to learn. She just obviously got very mad thinking that he was like the bad people that she grew up with. And she wanted to like punish him for that in a way and knew that this would be a sort of punishment, like saying like exposing it and then being like he has to deal with the consequences. But when you're a parent and your kids are doing something wrong, obviously I'm not a parent, so
he wasn't even really doing anything wrong. He just had a crush on a girl.
If we're considering that like, okay, if you like this girl, then you should be proud of it and you shouldn't hide it. That's a learning moment and you should teach them that. But we do have another update. I, 37 male, have some good news and some bad news. My wife has read the original post, the edit, and all of my comments. I also showed my wife certain comments. She read a ton of the comments on her own. I don't know if she'll read this update post because she said that she hates Reddit and will never go back on Reddit for as long as she lives. However, she did agree to individual therapy and couples therapy. Back in middle school and high school, my wife was bullied a lot for her weight and acne. She still struggles with her weight and acne, and I think she looks beautiful. What I've seen from her personality recently is another story. Last night, my wife said that our son, Sonny, had body shamed his crush, Chris, when he gave the reasons why his friends may make fun of him for liking Chris. To my wife, Sonny merely acknowledging that Chris is heavy and has acne is body shaming, even though he also calls her pretty.
I'm going to pause here because she's upset about that. Guess who set up the circumstances for that to happen? It was you, Mom. You made that conversation happen that way.
Yeah.
So be mad at yourself.
Also, like, he's saying that other people would body shame, not her.
Right. And it's like, well, it's like the transitive property. He's saying that they would body shame him. And so you just needed to have a private conversation with your son about like what it means to like be in a relationship with somebody and like somebody. And instead of doing that, you just like threw him into the shark-infested waters.
It also poses the question like, oh, if you think that because he's mentioning that and like that's a reason that he'd be embarrassed because other people would body shame. If he's mentioning that but it still calls her pretty, is it you that's body shaming, perhaps?
Right. Where does that logic train stop?
My wife said that she told Chris that Sonny likes her in front of everyone because my wife was afraid that if Sonny keeps his feelings for Chris a secret, that he'll end up with his friend Tina, who's 15 female. I've been learning a lot about what is going on in our son's social circle, not from my son, but from Tina's mom. The things my son gave Tina's mom permission to tell me. Tina has been working hard to fix her friend group. Tina has convinced Chris to forgive my son and to go on a date with him. Okay, well that's good. Also, when the friend group wants a house to hang out, they'll do it at Tina's house. None of the kids want to come near my wife. One of the boys who was there that day told his parents, and he's not even allowed to go to our house. What? That's crazy.
So I wonder how it was said. Like, it must have been like a viscerally uncomfortable moment then.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Like, I wonder, did she just walk in and was like, Sonny has a crush on Chris, and he won't tell her?
Maybe her like bullying experience, maybe it caused her to regress in that moment. And she went back to like, like the teenage state in her own head.
The whole way that she's been talking about this, it sounds like she is talking as if she's one of the teenagers.
Therapy, probably great idea. Unresolved childhood bullying issues. That's rough.
Tina's mom said that her house is always welcome to my son if he needs a safe place to stay. I made sure to quickly tell my wife that Sonny and Chris will go on a date later in the week. I wasn't sure what would be my wife's reaction, and I wanted to get it over with before our son came home. My wife basically said that she told me so. She said that Reddit and I were wrong. My wife is claiming victory for getting Sonny and Chris together. My wife claims that our son will thank her later. She is living in her own little world. By the way, you can live in our little world on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. We've got full episodes with more stories just like this one. Come join us in our world over here.
The mom's being like, they got together because of me. It's like, no, they got together despite you. Like, in all actuality, you kind of dealt a death blow to their potential. And now it's Tina who's running defense, trying to fix everything.
There's a little bit more to the story. This evening, I finally had a significant conversation with my son, Sonny. During the conversation, he wasn't referring to his mom as mom, nor my mom, but as your wife. He said that when he wants to talk to an adult about stupid teenager stuff, he'll talk to Tina's mom. Sonny said that he doesn't want to tell me something, then give me the burden of keeping it a secret from my wife. Our son is continuing his radio silence with his mom. When I think of my wife's well-being, I have to look at it in the context of my co-parent instead of my life partner. I need to watch her and make sure that I'll protect our kids from her if needed. She was a stable mom, but somehow she morphed into a bratty teenager just because she heard some teenage drama. I hope my wife gets stable again, but my kids are and will always be number one. There are some comments. Comment number 1 says she thinks that she won because they are going on a date, but hasn't yet realized that her son now hates her. She won, all right. Someone responds, her son hates her, Chris hates her, Tina hates her, and the entire friend group hates her. All their parents hate her. The only thing that she won was a one-way trip to the nursing home from Happy Gilmore. And that is the end of that story.
I mean, yeah, your wife is completely delusional right now. And I hope that therapy helps her like move through the trauma from her youth in a way that, because again, all she really needs to do here is fully apologize to her son and own that she made a mistake, which is the exact opposite of what she's doing right now. Like, she's taking a victory lap.
So insanely delusional.
Insufferable.
Yeah. That's very hard. And obviously, like, if your child tells you something that they deliberately say, like, yeah, this is a secret, don't tell them. Now, obviously, which we knew would happen, he does not trust his mom. And unfortunately, the dad is involved in that too. So it's like, the worst thing that you can do is make it so your kids don't feel like they can talk to you about stuff. It's on you, wife. I hope that you eventually figure that out. But that is the end of that story.